Let's get more on this now. We can speak to the BBC's former Vietnam correspondent, Bill Hayton, who's also a writer and expert in the South China Sea territorial disputes. Bill, good to see you. Thank you very much for joining us. What has sparked all of this?
Well, it's obviously been a very deliberate decision on the part of the Chinese. You don't just pick up an oil rig and send it somewhere without an awful lot of planning. And the Vietnamese are saying that there are dozens of Chinese ships protecting this rig, so it's obviously been a long time coming. The Chinese occupy the Paracel Islands, the Vietnamese claim them, and it's a long-running issue between the two countries. And China has, in recent years, been pushing and pushing and pushing to assert its claim and see what the response is, and the Vietnamese have pushed back every time. And this is the closest it's come to violence for 40 years.
Why now then?
There could be many reasons. One thing that might affect it is the fact that there's an ASEAN summit, a Southeast Asian summit starting on Saturday. And I wonder whether this is an attempt to try and divide ASEAN, because the Vietnamese and the Philippines will be very keen to have a very strong statement from ASEAN, whereas states that are closer to China, including the host of the ASEAN summit, Myanmar, will be much less willing to have a strong statement. So it could be a divide and rule tactic. It could just be that the oil companies and the Navy and the Coast Guard are using this as a moment to try and sort of show off how much power they have in order to get leverage with the central government in Beijing too.
And when you say a strong statement, you mean pertaining, of course, to this issue and the territorial disputes that are very much at play here and have plagued the ASEAN countries for a number of years. Yes,
I mean, China is convinced that it has the right to, rightful ownership of almost the entire South China Sea. Obviously, that's disputed by the other countries. It's interesting that China is not playing this nationalist card internally. There's very little media coverage of this inside China. So what we're seeing here, I think, is parts of the state really trying to push the Vietnamese and see how far they can go. The Vietnamese, in order to defend their claims, will push back. It seems at the moment it's contained, but there's always a chance that something could happen which is unforeseen, which could cause an escalation.
We'll have to leave it there, but fascinating to see how this plays out. Bill, thank you very much. Bill Hayton there.